Prof, thank you so much for your time on ENCA this morning. You have been asking government for clarity on when ECD centres can reopen. The Minister has this week issued a circular setting out plans for the reopening of the centres. You must have welcomed this.
Good morning, and good morning to your viewers. Yes, we welcome it, but it's probably 2 months too late. You know, around the country we've got 2.5 million children under the age of 6 who go to an early childhood centre every single day. Now, these children for 3 months have been without that opportunity. And for vulnerable, poorer children, it means they haven't had access to a learning program and they haven't had access to the nutrition that they need. For most of these children, their main meal is obtained at the Early Childhood Development Centre. Then they've also been left in communities which are dangerous and they are at threat. And we've seen in the Western Cape, as you know, a 2-year-old child was murdered on the streets. So we welcome the document, although at 61 pages, it's about 55 pages too long. It's bureaucratic, it's complex, and not even the top early childhood centre in the country will be able to complete or meet all the requirements.
Let's talk about the support for the centres, because at the end of the day, they offer services and they need money to stay afloat. And money hasn't really been coming in because a lot of parents have stopped paying those monthly fees. A lot of the centres won't have a choice, Prof, but to close their doors. What impact is this sector going to see? What are your projections telling you?
Look, we have about 32,000 early childhood development centres across the country. My estimate is that between 10 and 15% of those will close. That's 3,200 to 4,000 centres, which will affect just on 500,000 children. The impact is going to be significant. Those children are not going to get the early literacy, the early numeracy, and the early life skills that they need, which means they're going to enter grade 1 ill-prepared, and they will in all likelihood drop out before grade 10, and that whole cycle of poverty and inequality will continue. So we're very worried that because of minimal social development, involvement and support, this is going to happen.
And if a lot of them do close down, Prof, thousands of children could be left to fend for themselves. And not only that, but you're looking at a situation where a lot of people will also be without jobs.
Exactly. It's not only the children who are going to be impacted upon, but also the ECD teachers. And going on my projections, we're also looking at several thousand, maybe up to 8,000 to 10,000 ECD workers. The overwhelming majority who are women will be without a job. And that's going to have a huge impact on the social welfare system and on South Africa as a whole. And I think it's really an appalling state of affairs that we haven't given young children the priority they deserve, and we're not meeting their rights as a country.
You are proposing a COVID-19 relief package from government of 20,000 Rand for each registered ECD centre. That's over R500 million, almost over R500 million for the estimated 32,000 ECD centres across the country. What are the chances, Prof, of government providing this support, given its own limited resources?
Okay, let me just correct you slightly. We are advocating a COVID-19 grant of 20,000 Rand, but not only for registered centres, for unregistered centres as well. These are the most vulnerable. These are the ones that are in wooden iron structures and who will not survive. I think my calculation came to about 1.6 billion Rand.
Okay.
The taxi industry is getting 1.2 billion. And, you know, it's not a question of can we afford it. It's a question of can we not afford it. There's a 500 billion Rand fund, and 1.6 to 2 billion Rand will take care of 2.5 million children. And I think that's a really good investment for a caring country to make.
Yeah. And what sort of practical support can members of the public make to the sector if they wish to help and are able to help?
The immediate need is for what is commonly called PPE, sanitizers, masks, etc. And we've put out an appeal for the public to come on board to equip an ECD center with all the PPE needed. Will probably cost about 10,000 Rand each once off. And if the public contacts the Center for Early Childhood Development, we will see that every single cent of that gets to a deserving but vulnerable early childhood center.
Professor Eric Admo, thank you so much for your time on ENCA this morning.